So hello everybody. I'm happy to do this little video. We will speak of the tradition of Lojong, training the mind. As we are doing this since some time now in Gomde, we start to do session at the beginning of the COVID, session online with Zoom on some weekend. And as you know, in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, when a teaching is given or a practice or whatever, we always try to explain the history of the lineage first, to somehow give the kind of idea of the transmission. How do we get this transmission, and to explain that it's genuine, always coming from the Buddha to a long line of masters, to our own master, from whom we received the teaching, no? The transmission. So in the case of the Lojong, like all teaching, Buddhist teaching, it starts with the Buddha, and it actually said that the very, we said, birth of the Lojong is when the Buddha was teaching what we call the Four Immeasurable. It's a very famous prayer. It's like a wish-fulfilling practice. When we wish that may all beings possess happiness and the cause of happiness, etc. It's actually four main topics. We speak of spreading love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And when the Buddha somehow announced this practice, this prayer, he was teaching on it all his life, actually. And he was also, in connection with the teaching, explaining how we do a kind of concrete meditation. We somehow, in some, we said some sutra, in the Pali canon, the Buddha explained how to do this. He said, a meditator with a heart full of love will somehow spread this love in all directions towards all beings. The sutra said, actually, your heart is really full of love, and you spread this to all directions, like the four main directions, like west, east, etc. Then above and under, somehow you fill the whole universe with this love, and all beings are like, they receive this compassion, this love, and they all become more and more happy, and they just, they reach enlightenment through this, no? So this was, this explanation on this practice, with very simple somehow, was we can say it's the beginning of this Lojong tradition. And this kind of practice stay in Buddhism in India for a very, very, very long time. Many great practitioners, we can say, achieve high realization by just doing this kind of prayer and just taking care of all beings, no, into this kind of practice. And in the lineage in India, many famous masters was or are considered as we said holder of this lineage, like Nagarjuna or Shantideva, who is the master who write the famous Bodhicharyavatara. And a little bit later on, a great teacher appears in India. His name was Atisha Dipankara. He was the son of a king, and he became a very famous practitioner, very very well versed in the teaching of the Buddha and in the practice of the Tantra. And at some point, he was somehow kind of discussing with one of his masters, one of his tantric masters, and he said, okay, this is good, I'm happy of what is happening, and I'm quite good with this, but there is still something missing. And this master said, yes, what is missing is actually this tradition of the bodhicitta, and wishing well, trying to help all beings, no? What we call Lojong. And when Atisha heard this, it became evident for him that he was still missing something, and he should get instruction or explanation on this Lojong. And at this time, this transmission was in different places in India with some master, and one famous master was living in a place called Serling, which means Golden Island. And we think that this place is in present-day Indonesia. Sumatra. And Atisha at some point managed to go there. It was a long journey with many hardship and adventure. He goes there with some disciple, and the story said that even they was on with some boat, and in the deep sea they meet with some monster who attack the boat. And there is my story like this. I don't know if it is true or not. Maybe one day we will make a movie on this. And at some point they managed to find this master in this very far Sumatra. And this master Selingpa, who was also actually a kind of local king, and was teaching mainly this Lojong tradition. And they stayed 12 years with him and practiced under his direction. And when Atisha finally left the island, he said, "This is, for me, it was everything. This is my main master." He was, after that, he was always speaking of this master Selingpa as his main teacher, because he's the master who really make him understanding the essence of the Buddhist teaching, what we call bodhicitta, no? To take care of others more than ourselves. So there was other master also that Atisha meet, and one of these master was called Maitri Yogin. And the story said that we don't have so much information on him, but the story said that one day he was teaching in the monastery, and there was a dog who was barking outside the monastery, annoying everybody, and like covering the sound of the teaching. And at some point, one of the monks just threw a stone to the dog, hoping to stop him. And at the very moment the stone hit the dog, this great master fall from his throne with shouting like a kind of pain expression. And everybody was wondering what happens. And they look, and in the size of the master on the body was a very clear print of the stone who hit the dog outside. So this was the story that is very famous, and everybody knows after this that this Maitri Yogin, this master, was one of these great practitioners of the Lojong who really take on him the suffering of all beings, and it becomes some kind of concrete thing. So this master Atisha practiced himself this Lojong, and at some point he was invited to Tibet by some king at this time. At this time, Tibet was the Dharma. We said the teaching of the Buddha was not completely established yet, and there was the need of great master. And he traveled to Tibet and explained and give to many people a lot of teaching of the sutra and the tantra. And we said mainly actually the Lojong. He transmit the Lojong, who is like this hard teaching, but not so much people. At the beginning, it was kind of a secret transmission. Not only some disciple get the teaching of the Lojong, and his main disciple was called Dromtompa. It was a lay master, not a monk, and he practiced this, and he himself have a lot of disciples. And when finally Atisha passed away, he never left Tibet. He died in Tibet. Some great practitioner of the Lojong was living there, teaching the Lojong. So the Lojong, the tradition of the Lojong, take roots in Tibet. And at the beginning, like I mentioned, it was not a very well-spread tradition. It was like only, like we said, it's like a whispering lineage. Like the master just teach a few disciples that he knows are able to understand the teaching and practice it. And this goes on for some time like this. One of this master who received this transmission is the famous Gampopa, who later on, after being in this tradition of Lojong, become a disciple of Milarepa and get all the teaching on the Mahamudra teaching. And the story said that thanks to this, on the activities of Gampopa, the tradition of the Mahamudra, on the Tantra, the Tantric Mahamudra, and the Lojong, who was at this time called the Kadangpa, become like a school, the Kadangpa, mixed in one master. And from this, we get the lineage of this approach of the Lojong to the Tantra view, the Mahamudra view. Okay, so this was an important point. And at the same time, Gampopa was practicing and teaching in Tibet. The main, one of the main teachers of the Lojong was a great practitioner called Chekawa Yeshe Gomde. And this master is the one who actually, through his activities, made the Lojong becoming more widespread, no? More available to more people, because he write a very famous text with like a summarized of the whole teaching of the Lojong into one little text. It's called the 7 Points of Mind Training, and it include what we call the wisdom slogans, on the 59 wisdom slogans. So from the moment this great master Chekawa Yeshe Gomde write this instruction, this text, it become more and more well spread in all lineage. And the story said that this master Chekawa was living in a monastery where there was around some beggars who have this very bad sickness, you know, this disease called leprosy. And this Chekawa, before he became famous, he was a very good practitioner of Lojong, and he take care of all this, we say, I don't know in English the name for somebody who has this sickness, no? There was, you know, you lose some part of your body or the skin is become very bad, and he was taking care of them all the time, even carrying them on his back when they need to go somewhere, and giving them medicine, and etc. And some of these people, with this sickness, leprosy, become themselves practitioners of the Lojong because he was teaching them, no? You know? And somehow through this, they become practitioners of this Lojong, attain also some realization. So this Lojong tradition at this time in Tibet become known as the leprosy dharma, or the teaching, the dharma, the practice of the sick people, the leprosy, I don't know what you said, sorry, in English. So this is a very interesting point. And just after this, then the Lojong explode, we can say somehow. It become well spread, all school have it. It goes in the Nyingma, the Sakya, and the new school, the Geluk, use it a lot. Also Tsongkhapa, Jit Tsongkhapa was a great adept of this also. So from this, it goes everywhere. Then, as you know the story, at some point, the Dharma come in the West, and all these great masters who was all practitioners of the Lojong, and they all have the whole lineage, just arrived here, and then we have the good fortune to meet them. And then they said the same like it was at the time of the Buddha. They said the same. If you want to reach enlightenment, you have to somehow take on yourself the suffering of all being. Or like they said, you have to give, take on yourself all the blame and to give all the victory to others. So what's the essence of this Lojong? And we can say somehow, thanks to this day, it's still available to us. It's a living tradition, a practice that we can apply to ourselves, and it's a practice that we can do in all situations. It's based on meditation, but at some point, based on meditation, we are more like going in kind of extending meditation, like a more active meditation, and we can do this everywhere in all situations. And my own master, Rangjung Rinpoche, we have the good fortune to meet him and do a retreat with him in France, was very famous also for this process of Lojong. There is some stories when he was in retreat in Tibet before they have to leave. He was taking care of people who were sick. He have some, we said sponsor, or some disciple outside of the monastery. And every time he heard that somebody is sick, whatever is the sickness, he always make this practice for them. And generally, everybody recover quite quickly. And sometimes Rinpoche himself was a little bit not so well, but it was not for long. So he was a very good practitioner of this Lojong, and we receive in retreat the transmission for all these things. And we do session of Lojong in the first retreat, who include, I just mentioned this to finish, it was, I think, the tradition of Rinpoche on his monastery, maybe. We include in the Lojong the practice of Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion. So this, I think, will be the subject of a different video. This was just a little introduction to the story of the lineage of the Lojong. Why? Because it's important when you want to practice that you feel some trust, some devotion to it, and you understand the text, everything you do is coming from the Buddha. It's almost like the Buddha is in front of you, and is teaching you the very text of the Lojong and explaining everything. And then from the Buddha, so much great master on mastering, you said, woman master, practice this, reach enlightenment, and then have disciple and continue like this. It's like we said, sometimes we said it's like a pearl necklace. You understand this? There is many examples. Or like a golden lineage, or like a necklace of diamond or something like this. And when you go to see a master and you receive teaching from the Lojong, then you are like connecting to this. You are like a new, brand new pearl on the necklace. And then you can yourself have this chance now to understand this teaching and to really practice the essence of what the Buddha Sakyamuni teach. No? To really take care of all beings is the way for enlightenment. So this was, these many stories on this lineage, on incredible thing, and we can speak for this more long, but I think just a little introduction to the history of the Lojong, and hopefully it will give you the wish to know more. There is a lot of stories on book, on many things, on a lot of great masters. Right now, these days, are teaching this Lojong. People who are living, we can meet them and receive this teaching. So, yeah. So thank you. This was the first part of this video, just the lineage thing. On the next one, we will just see a little bit the view on the practice, what we need to understand to really do the practice, what we call ultimate and relative bodhicitta, and then maybe some explanation of the practice itself. If you don't know how to deal with the text, there is different way of using the text. There is very simple way of doing it, and a little bit more extensive way, like if you want to do the practice of Chenrezig, for example, etc., etc. So this we will see in a second video. Will come soon. Thank you.